Good evening and welcome to the Radical SR8 Championship. Round 8 takes us to Tuscany at the circuit of Mugello in Italy. I am Tom Cairns in the commentary position with Jim Cunningham, who will be with me for not one, not two, but 3 races that we've got lined up for you tonight. We are into the final minutes of qualifying and we hope to see a brilliant affair here, just as we did 7 days ago. Luke Maxwell is at the top of the timing pages at the moment, with a lap of 1 minute 41.2, but can anyone snatch that away from him? We've got 14 drivers registered for tonight, so hopefully we're going to be in for some brilliant action all the way through. 8 in the pros and 6 in the AMs. We will be keeping an eye on both classes as the races progress. Let's bring Jim Cunningham into the booth and get a word from him on how he thinks tonight is going to go. Jim, good evening on this Monday night over in the UK and Monday afternoon over in Texas.
Good evening, Tom. Yeah, it's good to be here with you again. You and I luckily called a race the other day from Mugello and with Radicals, and it turned out to be some really good racing. So I'm excited for this one. I think it's going to be great.
I should think so as well. And looking at exactly what had been going on last week, Mike Bousson won 2 of the races at Motorsport Park. And that has thrown him into the fight for the championship. There are a couple of drop rounds to be applied at the end of the season. We've got 3 rounds to go. We've got Mugello, we've got Hockenheim, and the historic configuration of Monza to close out the season. Not long to go now, Jim.
No, we got just, I guess we got about 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes or so of qualifying left. Luke Tunison just made a little jump up the board right there. We were following him around the track, and he had a nice lap there.
He did. He's won a couple of times this season. Both of those wins coming at Belle Isle not too long ago. He'll be hoping to bounce back to better form here. He didn't have a good round, in all honesty, at Motorsport Park, but let's see how Tunison gets on a circuit where I think he will perform better at. I think this is going to play into the hands of, well, most of the drivers, I would say. I think Motorsport Park was only going to play into the hands of a few, but this one I think is more of an equaliser, so we'll see how each of them get on. We've got the pros separating themselves from the AMs, actually. At the moment, it's Steve Webb, who's fastest out of all the AMs, who'll be hoping to continue his form. He didn't have a good round last week. I think he did come away with an AM podium in the last race, but the other 2 races were ones to forget for him.
And apparently he's supposedly feeling a little under the weather tonight, so we were warned not to expect much out of him. So if top of the AM leaderboard is what he does when he doesn't feel well, he should be sick more often.
I mean, look at the margin.
Yeah, no, it's well, Minnow DeGraaf just jumped up past him a little bit, but yeah, still a great run from Steve.
Yeah, and Stefan Mercer has just put in a more representative lap time to go up into P13. There we look at James Coombs, who has yet to, I think he's yet to take a win so far this season. He's come close a number of times. Will tonight be the night for him to change just that? We're into the last minute of qualifying. It's John Hutchison, who's at the top of the timing sheets. He got involved in that multi-car pile-up at the start in the final race at Motorsport Park, where the likes of him, Luke Tunison, Luke Maxwell, and Jack Veazey all came together. That took an enormous twist as far as the title battle is concerned, with 3 rounds left.
Yeah, this thing is definitely tightening up as the battle goes along here, getting towards the end of the season. Tonight's going to be a big deciding factor, I think, in shaping that points battle too. Which, the circuit is a little bit of a, I don't know. I guess everybody doesn't love this circuit. I personally, love this place. We talked about that last week when we did that race here. I'm a big fan of this place, but yeah. We'll see how everybody gets on tonight.
Well, the qualifying session has reached its conclusion. It's John Hutchison who bugs the first point of the evening. He'll hope to convert that into victory, just as he did in the first race last week at Motorsport Park. Jack Veazey will be alongside him on the front row. And then we look at Luke Maxwell in 3rd place ahead of James Coombs. Luke Tunison in 5th ahead of Matthew Richardson. And the last 2 pro drivers are Josh Reed, who's back after a long time away from this series. Can he come up with the goods here. Mike Bousson rounds out the top 8. And then on to the AMS. Mena de Graaf is at the head of that particular group, ahead of Steve Webb. Gert-Jan Polman and Scott Kostridge on the 6th row. On the final row of the grid, we have got Stefan Millis and Gareth Newton.
Yeah, this is waiting on a few people to get on the grid here, but yeah, I really am excited for this one. Like I said, I'm a big fan of this place, and I think we saw some good racing last week, so I can't wait to see what this one brings.
Yeah, well, we're just waiting for a number of drivers to make their way onto the grid. Matthew Richardson waiting on, Josh Reed, Mike Bousson, and John Hutchison. So John will be hoping to take another win here towards the title in retaining it this time. He won the title last season, didn't win it the season before. That went to Mike Bousson, I believe.
That's correct.
As far as memory is concerned,
Yeah.
but it was John Hudson who won it the year before that.
Yes, I believe it was Mike Bousson. And then he had a run of bad luck there for a little while. Here we go. There's John.
Yeah, everyone is on the grid. 14 drivers lining up, and we wait for those 5 red lights to appear and disappear. 3, 4, and 5. Lights are on. Lights off, it's go, and it's a better start slightly from Luke Maxwell from 3rd place. He's got ahead of Jack Vesey, who had a little bit of wheel spin, and he's already been passed by Maxwell on the approach to turn number 1. And here's Maxwell to the outside of Hutchison on the approach to San Donato. Is Maxwell going to have the high ground on the exit? It's very easy to get it around the out. Well, I say it's very easy. It's very useful to go to the outside, which will allow you to have the inside line for the second corner of Loco. But it's Hutchison who is able to hold on, and he's ahead of Maxwell. Vesey in 3rd place, Chimmerson in 4th position, and it looks like everyone's got through safely, Jim.
Gert-Jan Polman up 4 spots right off the bat, and what a start he got.
Indeed, and they are coming down towards Savelli and Casanova. We look at Gert-Jan Polman running in P7 just ahead of Josh Reed, who's running a different livery from the last time we've seen him racing this series. I think it was at Alton Park last season or the season before.
Oh,
and that's
Polman's
contact
around
between him and Mena de Graaf. That's Gert-Jan Polman, sorry, and Josh Reed spins as well. Josh Reed off, and is Steve Webb, who's gone wide at the gravel trap, and that's the bonnet gone on Mena de Graaf's car, I think it is, unless it's Gert-Jan Polman. I think it is Mena de Graaf, and so he may need to go into the pit lane with that, because he's going to struggle from here on in.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that was we'll have to get a look at that incident again here shortly. That was big.
As Hudson holds on, here's Maxwell, Vesey, Chimmerson, Bousson. He's up 3 positions from his starting spot. He's in 5th position. He will be in line for reverse group hold for race number 2 should he remain there. 15 minutes for this first race. Top 5 get reversed for race number 2. And then at the end of race 2, it's the top 10 finishers that apply the grid for race number 3. Out we come with the last corner of Bachin. 15 corners around this clockwise course. One-time Tuscan Grand Prix event in 2020 as part of Formula 1's reshuffle during the daunting period. And it looks like Mena de Graaf and Josh Reed are both in the pit lane. And the only battle they're going to have is amongst themselves from now until the checkered flag.
Yeah, it'll be the battle to get back off pit road after the repairs. Let's see if we can figure out what
We just look at Scott
right
Kostridge, we saw there, who's in the lead. This is Polman going round. He got hit by de Graaf to begin with, and then Josh Reed spun by himself at the second Arabiata corner, and Steve Webb ran wide in avoidance.
Mena de Graaf and Josh Reed.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why de Graaf got the sufficient damage from his contact with Josh Reed. And that's the explanation why both of them ended up in pit road. Now we go back to John Hutchison, who continues to lead, and it's Luke Maxwell, who's not giving up on his hopes for the championship, but they are slipping away as we speak. He really needs John Hutchison to have another mare of a round, because John, if you remember, you've already missed a couple of rounds this season. You can't afford to miss any more.
Yeah, he has no drop rounds left basically. So any lower scores he he accumulates, he'll have to take them at this point. So, he's in a tough spot. I mean, as long as he can finish out the rest of the season and score pretty well, he'll be okay. But, you can't, in his spot, he can't afford to have any mistakes.
Just hello to everyone that's tuning in the live chat. Black Enzo, Chris Dyer, and Union Jack all tuning in. And it looks like, is it Darren Nunn that does NST? I think it might well be, because he's a fellow chat marshal along with Steve Webb. And thank you for pointing out that he has been feeling under the weather. I know that because he messaged us in another live chat for an event which both me and Jim were commentating on. But let's hope Steve is all the well good this evening, which he is seemingly. Cunningham running wide on the exit out of the R2, he's able to keep the car together. And there we look at James Cairns on the rear of Mike Bousson, who had already got ahead of him at the start. Now Bousson has got Cunningham in his sights to try and make amends. I wonder what Bousson will be thinking at this point, because this circuit is not the best for overtaking. The only designated overtaking spot is down at San Donato, or up towards San Donato, where Bousson can make his move. Is it worth risking it?
Well, I mean, as we know, Mike will definitely take a risk or two, so it would not surprise me. But, so far he's not really showing the pace yet. I don't know how well he knows his track or likes his track, but we'll see as he settles in. I think, at this point, if he could, get a top 3 or 4 or 5 here, be somewhere around the front of the next grid, I think he'd probably be happy in race 1, and then, get out there in front and lead some laps in the next one.
Well, he's been passed by James Coombs, who's moved up into 5th position, so Bousson's going to have to fight to get that position back. Coombs runs wide on the exit of turn number 3, which will allow Bousson to come back at him. Further down the field, Scott Kostrich is the leader in the AMS over Stefan Mellis, who's made up ground at the start. And it's Gareth Newton and Steve Webb. Get Jan Polman off that spin at Arabiata 1 on the open lap. He's down in P12 and 5th in class. And Mena de Graaf is at the back. So this is actually a big turning point in the race in the AMS. Although the difference in terms of points positions, with the exception between winning a race and finishing second, which is worth 5, it's only a point difference for every position. And that's not in class, that's overall.
Right. Yeah, everything's just kind of settling in right now. There's a lot of close action. I mean, not a lot of heated battles here. Maxwell's kind of making some inroads into catching the Hutchinson here a little bit.
Well, Maxwell is perhaps the closest to Hutchinson compared to anyone else around the circuit. So Maxwell is just biding his time, waiting for that all-important opportunity to go for it. But if they start battling, that will allow Veazey to close in. So this is a game of jeopardy for Lee Maxwell if he decides to go for it. But not only does he need to pass him, he ideally needs other drivers to make their way through past Hutchinson, which is highly unlikely at this stage. But we have seen Hutchinson make mistakes before, or unforced errors, I should say.
Yeah, not many though. he's usually pretty precise. It's usually if he gets into a mess, a lot of times it's somebody else's mess he gets caught up in.
They come towards turn number 6. It's otherwise known as Casanova. Savelli is turn 7. And then they go towards turns 8 and 9. There's Hutchinson leading, Maxwell leading Veazey. It's nearly 2 seconds back to find Luke Cunningham. He's got James Coombs and Mike Bousson, who's dropped back now from Coombs. So Bousson isn't exactly having the best of starts, and we've got a retirement for Gareth Newton, who's ended up in the barrier. This is over. This is turn 5. I think yeah, he got a twitch and couldn't correct it.
Wow. Yeah, that one, that's a race ender for sure.
We'll be back for more in race number 2. It's the end of the road for Gareth Newton. And there we look at the leader. I have to say, Maxwell's dropped back from Hutchinson, Jim.
He has. He has, and he's got a full of Jack Veazey here.
Yep, he's going to have to go defensive here, Maxwell. He doesn't have a choice. He's going to have to force Veazey to the outside. And then Maxwell has to outbrake him here just to run him out wide here, not force him out too wide. Veazey will have the inside line for Loco. And he is able to just hold on there. Veazey goes off the circuit. He couldn't correct the slide. And he's lost 2 positions at least, maybe even 3. He gets back on circuit in 5th place, which could be some consolation for him later. But that is unlike Jack Veazey making mistakes like that.
Yeah, that was, I mean, it was a great save, actually. It could have ended up a lot worse than it did, but very unfortunate.
So it's down to 5th position. It's ahead of Buson for now. There's no question that Veazey's rear tyres will have overheated in the slide. So he's going to have to be a little bit cautious in the next sequence of corners before those tyres call off. Now we look at Stefan Millis behind Scott Kostwich. It's a long time since we've seen Stefan Millis come away with a class victory. Will this race change just that? It feels like it's a slight change with his livery there. There's a little bit more black on the wheel covers.
I agree.
Yeah. So it brings some luck for Stefan Millis, who's had little to celebrate this season. Scott Kostwich,
previous champion.
Previous and champion, you're absolutely right. Albeit that was a few seasons back, as far as Stefan Millis is concerned. He's a long way from challenging that right now. The challengers for that are the likes of Mena de Graaf, Gert-Jan Polman, and maybe Steve Webb. But Steve Webb had an absolutely torrid round last week at No Sport Park. He needs to make up for that here. He's running 3rd in class as we speak.
Yeah, at this point, all of those guys ahead of him in points right now are behind him in the race, so that's good for Stefan for sure.
We're on lap number 7. We've only got about just over 4 minutes remaining in this first race, so I would probably say 3 laps to go in this one, depending on how quick the leaders are in getting round. But Hudson seems to have this one under control, 1.5 seconds clear over Luke Maxwell. There's Luke Tunison and James Coombs, who are just 7/10 apart from each other. Buson is now half a second off Veazey in their own battle. There they are, look. Veazey in the brighter red livery. Buson's got the darker red and black livery on his wagon as they go up through Arabiata 2.
It's an old Ferrari livery, isn't it?
But the one that Veazey's got?
Yeah. Isn't that an old Ferrari livery?
Not that I recall. Veazey is making the most of it so far. And I do like the black on the back of it. It does look like it does stand out in a way. I don't think that is an old Ferrari. I don't recall that either. It may be in a sports car or something, but it's certainly not a Formula 1 car as far as I know. Although there is, it's showing the Ferrari livery. I think you may be right on that, Jim. But I was trying to come to terms on what season it was.
I thought he told us that when he switched the livery from the he was running that Marlboro livery for a while, and then he switched over to this one. I thought he said it was a Ferrari livery, but I could be wrong.
It might be the 2014 Ferrari or 2015. I'll ask him later if he decides to join us in the booth after the races are done. We can ask him which livery it is. So we're now on lap 8. Penultimate lap of this. It's John Hudson who leads only by 1.3 seconds now. He has pulled away from Maxwell, who was close to him earlier before he fell back into the clutches of Jack Veazey. Prior to Veazey having that moment, I've seen him drop down, but he's in line for reverse grip hold for the second race of the night, which will also be 15 minutes long. And Hudson has put a wheel in the gravel, Jim.
He sure has. That's brought Maxwell right back to him.
1 lap to go, wants to go over the line, but Hudson just needs to be on his toes from here on in. Maxwell knows that the start-finish straight will be the last opportunity for him to make a move, so he needs to make the exit of Bachin the best is done in this race.
Yeah, we'll see if he can close this up. He's certainly going to need to gain a couple more tenths to get close enough to try to make a move on John.
Yeah, he's not close enough, is he?
No.
It wasn't a very good exit out of Bachin either. He may get into the slipstream and threaten John a little bit, but I just don't see him pulling off a move. I think he's going to be consigned to a second place finish in this one. Final lap it is now. We are over the line. We are close to the checker flag. Cunningham looking good for a podium. We've got Coombs and VZ. It just goes back to what I was saying earlier, that this track is not necessarily the best for overtaking.
Yeah, I didn't view it that way, and you'd said that the other day, and I think you've proven yourself right, especially with these cars. I think we talked about it. I believe that this track is more suited for higher horsepower cars. If you're going to pass, you need to be able to have the power to get off the corner and catch someone. These cars are so momentum based that you got to keep the speed up on them anyway. And I think that around here they're running it at such a speed that you don't really have any closing power. I think that's the problem.
Well, you can even put Mazda MX-5s on this circuit and they would be able to produce better racing than what the SR8s are able to produce, because what we've seen so far objectively, these cars are just not the best in following each other through the corners and getting into the slipstream to pull off moves. But John Hudson won't care for the time being, because he is coming around the last few corners now before the checker flag is in sight for him, and it's another victory to add into the bag. I'd love to know how many victories he's got in his entire career in the Rally Cross Street Championship, as Luke Maxwell has suffered a little bit of connection issues. A good job that's happened at the end of this race, and unless he has actually had some connection issues. No, he hasn't. But it's John Hudson who heads over the line. And it's race 1 victory for the Scotsman. He leads Luke Maxwell to a photo finish. And Maxwell finishes second ahead of Cunningham and Coombs. VC finishes 5th and will start on reverse grid pole for race number 2. It's Mike Bousson and Matthew Richardson who round out the top 7. The winner in the AMS, that is Scott Kostridge. Stefan is second, and it's Steve Webb who rounds out the AM podium, with Gert-Jan Pullman and Mennegraaf in 4th and 5th in class. And we'll wait for Josh Reed and Gareth Newton to head over the line.
A really strong run from John. We're going to have top 5 reverse, so we're going to have VZ on the pole. Unfortunately, Bousson, by losing that position, ultimately will end up starting in 6th and will miss the reverse grid.
He's left himself with all sorts of work to do for the remainder of the evening. Bousson and VZ to keep his realistic hopes of the championship alive. But let's have a rundown on the race 1 result here in Mugello. John Hudson is the winner, with Luke Maxwell in 2nd place. Completing the podium is the Dutchman, Luke Cunningham. 4th position is James Coombs, followed by Jack VZ, and it's Mike Bousson and Matthew Richardson. Scott Kostridge, Stefan Millis, Steve Webb, Gert-Jan Pullman, Menno de Graaf, Josh Reed, and Gareth Newton all finished the race. Gareth Newton finishing 1 lap down. Rundown on the race 2 grid. It is Jack VZ on reverse grid pole with James Coombs alongside, and it's Luke Cunningham and Luke Maxwell next. John Hudson and Mike Bousson on row 3, followed by Matthew Richardson and Scott Kostridge. Stefan Millis and Steve Webb round out the top 10. On the 6th row of the grid, we've got Gert-Jan Pullman and Menno de Graaf, and on the final row of the grid, we've got Josh Reed and Gareth Newton.
Good job. You beat him to the grid this time. That's so hard. I feel so bad for you every time. That is such a fast turnaround to do the results in the grid. I have to give you props for getting through that and doing a fantastic job with it.
We're waiting on one more car to make his way onto the grid. That is Josh Reed. He's on the. I think he may be starting from the pit lane. The lights are appearing, and when they go out, we'll be ready for race number 2. Lights are on. Lights are, and it's away we go, and it's Luke Cunningham who gets the better of the starters at the front row at least, and he's going to be passing Maxwell before San Donato, and VZ is holding him up, so Cunningham does have to pull out to the outside, which he won't be able to do so because he's got the likes of Maxwell and Hudson in there, and you can see how it is. You can see the dice as they go up towards turn number 2, and VZ is there. Maxwell is tucking in behind him. It's Cunningham who's back into 3rd place now, but Maxwell's made up 2 positions from 4th to 2nd. Hudson at 1 place, but James Coombs has not had the best time of it.
Gert-Jan Pullman with another fantastic start on 3 spots right off the bat. Again, he is on those starts tonight as we get back up front here.
There's VZ in the lead then. Can he make up for the error he made in race number 1 and pull away from the rest? Maxwell is hoping he can do the same, but he's got his hands full with Lucian and John Hudson, who are right behind. It feels like everyone's got through the first part of the lap without any incident. Josh Reed has joined the race now. He's at the back in the 14th position, probably using the opportunity to not get involved in anyone else's incident. He wants to make his way through the field in this one. If he gets to 10th position, that will help him for race number 3, because that would put him on reverse grid pole.
Yeah, that would be a huge benefit. I'm not too familiar with Reed, apparently you are, so I don't know what kind of speed he has in these cars. But look at this right here; these two are almost touching.
Yeah, that's Cunningham and Combs. We wait for the time and Sarah to appear, so we can give you the details as to who is where in the field. VC in the lead by 3/10 over Maxwell. It's Hudson in 3rd place ahead of Combs and Cunningham, who's lost positions again, but he's coming back at Combs and Hudson. He may go through the middle if he can help it. He'll have the outside line, which will then become the inside for turn number 2. Combs holds his line, but it's Cunningham who's going to send it here. Is there going to be enough room for both cars to go through? It's almost wheel to wheel, almost side swiping between Combs and Cunningham, but it is Combs who holds on to 4th position. Cunningham remains in 5th. Buson still hasn't been able to get by anyone yet in this race. He's running in P6.
I'll tell you what, Combs and Cunningham are having a heck of a little battle there. 2 times they've been side by side through multiple corners. They're putting on a great exhibition of good, clean side-by-side racing, I have to say. It's probably not best it's probably not best for their position on track, because every time you do that, it just brings people in behind you, but still exciting to watch.
Look at Matthew Richardson running in 7th place. We've hardly spoken about him during the course of tonight's broadcast. We'll give him a little bit of airtime just to see how he's getting on behind Mike Buson. He's trying to find a different line through the hairpin of Corintau, and we've got the Biondetti chicane for the fast sweeping left-hander of Bachin, and Wilson's not able to find a way through. You can see the top 7 all in your picture, just determined to dice it out for victory. Maxwell and VZ are close together, but I don't think Maxwell was within range to make a move just yet.
VZ weaving around trying to break that draft of Maxwell there. This is a very long straight, and so it does produce a lot of draft.
On lap 3, Maxwell behind VZ. Hudson, Coombs, Cunningham, Buson and Richardson still in the top 7. Scott Kostrich is still in the lead. In the end, Miller Graf has made his leap up the order, up 3 spots from where he had started the race from, up from 12th to 9th. Gertie Poland's up 1 place, Stefan Lewis down 2, Gareth Newton up 2, and Steve Webb is down 3. But Josh Reed is behind them, having started from the pit lane. He's had little to celebrate so far tonight, but let's see if he can carve his way through the Ams and get to the rear of Matthew Richardson and all that. He hasn't got a lot of time to do that.
He doesn't, and he's still several seconds behind the 13th place car, which is Steve Webb, so he's definitely got his work cut out for him.
It's a slow down as well for Reed, which will have to counter. Just hope he's aware of the yellow flag thing, because once you have that slow down to your name, you've got to try and get it off, because otherwise you'll just get penalised. He's got it off now, but he has lost ground a little bit to Steve Webb, who's determined to make up for lost time, although it hasn't been the best of second races for him. Here in Mugello, VC has got Maxwell on his tail. Now, can Maxwell get the ideal exit out of Bachin and pull within range of VZ on the straight? We shall see. Tunison's doing the same with James Coombs on the exit. And we look further back to find Miller de Graaf, who's got Scott Kostrich, who's the AM leader again. Having a strong evening so far, hoping to keep that one going.
He really is having a strong evening, isn't he? Maxwell is closed right up on VZ at the end. Long front straight there.
So they need to go through that time around, Maxwell. I don't really think we're going to be seeing that much overtaking throughout the course of tonight. I mean, race 3 is going to be more interesting because of the reverse grid of the top 10, so we're going to see a lot of the big guns out of positions where they would normally be, i.e. John Hudson, Jack Vesey and all that. But there we see Luke Cunningham running in 5th place, which would become 6th on the grid for race number 2. The man sitting in 10th place, which would give him reverse grid pole, that's Gert-Jan Polman, who needs a strong result, really, to keep his hopes of the AM title alive.
He does. He's trying to catch the lead pack here in the AMs. As you see, Minnow de Graaf is starting to really work on Kostrick here.
And we come towards turn number 11. Now this is turn 12 of Cairns out, which Kostrick and de Graaf are heading through.
Tough turn. This thing, it's really easy to kind of miss that apex on that turn and have the car wash out really wide. And you got to come right out of that and go through that chicane there. And this is a tricky section of the track. If you get it right, you can make up ground, as you see Minnow de Graaf did right there. But you got to get a good exit right here. That's the key.
Yeah, it looks like de Graaf has got a good exit, so this could be the opportunity for him to go on by. He's not going to get too many opportunities like this one, so if I was de Graaf, I'd just go on through rather than just waiting it out until the last couple of laps. Here he goes to the outside. Minnow de Graaf on Scott Kostrick. It's quite a long way towards turn number 1. If de Graaf can outbrake him, which he doesn't do so, it's Scott Kostrick who remains in front. De Graaf wakes back, as does Gert-Jan Polman. We're getting involved in this. Stefan Millis isn't too far back either. Looks like Steve Webber's in the back of his own Gareth Nielsen. But we'll keep in touch with the battle for the AMs as much as we are for the pros. Maxwell is still on the tail of Veazey for the lead, and we look at Mahutson in 3rd place ahead of Coombs and Tunison.
Yeah, Coombs is working his way up on McCutcheon here, and you know, Tunison is just kind of along for the ride. Tunison and Coombs were having a great battle a little earlier in the race. Now they've decided to, I won't say work together, but maybe not fight each other as hard so they can catch the cars in front of us, especially McCutcheon, who is not really making that much ground up on Maxwell and Veazey, really.
No, I don't know if he's even thinking about a grid spot for race number 3, because he would obviously start ahead of Veazey and Maxwell, so it would be less cars for him to go by. So I think Mahutson playing the long game, because you do get given more points in the 3rd and final race than you would do in the opening 2. Maxwell, I think, attempts to go by Veazey at Bachin, but he's having to cut back in, and that attempt of an overtake at Bachin had backfired Maxwell. He wasn't really ready for it. So he's having to sit back. We're looking at Tunison, who's got Coombs in his sights. He's into the 6th street of James as he comes towards turn number 1. Is he able to outbrake him? The answer is no. Steve Webber's passed Gareth Newton 12th further back. So he's through and up the order nicely. Mellis, 1.7 seconds off Polman. He needs another good result here. As de Graaf goes past Kostrick, I think Kostrick has had a spin, Jim.
Like something here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll stick to this battle right here for now. He did have an off track, so we'll go back and look at that in just a second. I want to see before we cut away from this battle here. These two are getting pretty close there.
You see Coombs and Tunison in 4th and 5th. Gruson 1.4 seconds back from these. He's gone from Matthew Richardson for company, and there's a gap of 4 seconds between Richardson and de Graaf, and it's a spin from Kostrick, so no one else is involved in that. It was just him getting the power down too soon whilst going up the hill.
Yeah, he did manage to hold on to it though, and not put it in the fence or anything, so that's good. But that now puts Minnow de Graaf in the AM lead. And he's got almost 2 seconds on Polman here. If he just keeps it smooth and steady, he'll have a nice victory in this one with about 5 minutes to go. As we get back up here and see the nose to tail running here with 4th and 5th, I should say.
Obviously, Tunison attacking Coombs towards turn number 1. Coombs holds on. Maxwell is still behind Veazey, but you can see how close Hutchison is as well. So we've got a 3-way fight for the lead. We've got a 2-car battle for 5th place and a 2-car battle for 7th. So it's all do and die here. It could have an impact on how the reverse grid.
Oh, McCutcheon!
And that's Mahutson running wide. He caught it just in time. I thought he was going to end up going spearing into in the barrier on the far side, but he just caught it in time.
That was a nice save right there. That car was headed for the wall. unfortunately, that cost him 2 spots because Tunison was right there. Now he's going to have his work cut out for him. That was pretty exciting, actually.
I think he missed the apex to begin with, and they just put a wheel in the gravel.
Well, it didn't look as impressive from the air as it did from ground level, but man, that was still a great save.
He had to lift off the throttle because had he tried to keep his foot in there, he would have gone spearing into the barrier.
Yeah, that's and to be honest, it's so easy. You look at somebody and you're like, why didn't they lift, man? I mean, you're talking about a split-second decision there. It's too late, you know. Well, I tell you what, Easy got pretty wide right there himself. This track does that, though. This track has a lot of turns that will cause you to miss wide and run wide on the rest of this. Maxwell is.
Well, if we go to live images, Jim, Maxwell and VZ are dicing it out. VZ and Maxwell are fighting for the lead at the top of the hill, and VZ's got by Maxwell. I think he's still ahead of him, actually. But they were dicing it out at turn number 1. We'll get some replays as to what had been going on at turn number 1 at San Donato. That was where the activity was happening.
Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at this. All right, that was Maxwell's. That was
that's
McCutcheon's incident here.
So this is Maxwell going to the outside of VZ.
Man,
he had his nose in front. Yeah. He had to lift off the throttle. If he tried to correct the side whilst he put it pinned to the floor, he would have gone spinning.
I like what he did there, though. He slung that car out way wide so he could try to get a better run out of there. And I don't think it worked for him like he hoped, but that was still really nice.
It was worth a go, certainly.
Yeah.
He couldn't risk jeopardising what he's got. Tunison's now got a slowdown, and he's got Hudson right behind him. This is not a good time in the race, really, to be getting slowdowns as far as Luke Tunison is concerned. He needs to try and get this off as soon as he can. He gets it off, but he's got Hudson to his right-hand side on the approach to Bachin. Hudson to the outside. Tunison will run him out wide, and does so. Great piece of driving there from Luke Tunison to hold on. But the final lap is about to start, and it's all kicking off.
Yeah, this is some really. We've seen some really good side-by-side racing in this particular race.
Yeah. Hudson, is he heading through on Tunison? Tunison needs to outbrake him here. Run Hudson out wide. Will they leave each other room? Hudson at the inside line for turn number 2. Tunison needs to be aggressive here if he's to hold on here, and he does so. He's done it. Yeah, well done, Luke Tunison, to hold on ahead of John Hudson. It's not over yet, though. Coming towards Casanova in a moment. This is turn 5. Ooh, that might have been a little bit too robust from Luke Tunison. Running Hudson outright, giving no room whatsoever.
That was a little hip check for sure there. I think that McCutcheon will remember that one down the road for sure.
Yeah, he may have a word with us after for trying to bring Tunison on, but let me be honest with you, folks. We are as impartial as we are, which is sometimes we like to see drivers get their elbows out a little bit rather than being pushovers.
I'm not going to lie to you. From the point that Tunison won those races a couple of weeks ago, he seems like a different driver. Like, that was a day that, we saw him, like you said, get his elbows out, and he's been a different driver since then.
Well, there's only got a few more corners before this race is done, and Jack Veazey has got one more corner before this race is done. And he's going to hold off Luke Maxwell to the end here as they come out of the last corner for the final time in race number 2 in Mugello. And it's Jack Veazey who stakes his claim as a championship contender as he heads over the line, leading Luke Maxwell, who will finish in second place again. But it is Veazey who comes out on top with Maxwell second. James Coons bags a podium ahead of Luke Tunison and John Hutchison. We've got Mike Bousson, Matthew Richardson, Bernard de Graaf who wins in the AMS. And it's Gert-Jan Polman and Stefan Mellis rounding out the AM podium. Steve Webb just misses out again, with Josh Reed coming through from the pit lane to 12th place, with Gareth Newton and Scott Costridge the last of those to finish.
Well, Stefan Mellis is going to be and Gert-Jan Polman are going to be the big winners there because they're going to end up on the front row of this next grid here.
They are. It'll be very, very tasty indeed. We've got a warm-up session, but first let's have a rundown on the result for race number 2. At Tuscany. Jack Veazey the winner ahead of Luke Maxwell, then it's James Coombs. Luke Tunison in 4th place ahead of John Hutchison. Then we've got Mike Booston and Matthew Richardson. The winner of the AMs is Mena de Graaf in 8th, Gert-Jan Polman in 9th, and Stefan Mills completing the AM podium in 10th position. And we'll start race number 3 from reverse grid pole. Steve Webb, Josh Reed, Gareth Newton, and Scott Kostrich also made it to the checker flag.
Apparently no one is taking advantage yet of the warm-up session.
Well, they'll be taking the time just to grab a drink or so. I wish I could grab one myself, actually, because I just finished my drink. It was full at the beginning of the broadcast, but now I feel like I want some more. Well, I'll tell you what, whilst we're in this warm-up session, I'll let Jim have a little chat about what he has found from maybe this season so far and maybe what he's looking forward to in the coming rounds of Hockenheim and Monza, which should be a thrilling end to the season. Jim, I'll let you have the next couple of minutes.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, go get you a drink. Refill your drink. We need Tom to have a voice, so he has to be. Let's take a look at the comments in chat here real quick. Only seen 2 overtakes so far, both by Combs. I mean that is true to a degree. Certainly some really good side-by-side racing, though, as Hugh Black says. It was some really awesome racing. I'm looking forward to the 3rd race here today, too. I think putting the faster drivers a little further back in the field is going to and have them work their way through is going to be entertaining. Certainly, my take so far with Luke Tunison has really started to impress me, and again, not pulling for anyone or anything like that. If I was going to pull for anyone to get an overall win in this field, it'd probably be Steve Webb, just because of how nice of a guy he is. But the Tunison has really I don't know. It's just like he found something and has become just a more aggressive. I mean, anybody that watches this series on the regular knows what a phenomenal, driver John McCutcheon is, and to be able to hold him off like that, even with the little hip check, which coming to the last lap of the race, if y'all are side by side like that, I don't necessarily view that as a bad move. He didn't come close to wrecking anybody. He just pushed him out. Little hip check there to make sure that he is able to maintain that spot. I would argue that that's all part of it to a degree. So, at least in my opinion, I come from that American style. We got a lot of in that stock car world. There's a lot of bumping and banging going on and things like that. But yeah, overall, man, he's really impressed me. And James Combs, I don't personally, the few races I've come in and covered, James Combs really impressive as well. Quick, as we see Mena de Graaf working on his starts, and he needs to with the way Gert Van Polman has been getting off the line tonight. Man, he's made up 4 spots right off the start in the first race and 3 in the second. So he's really picking some spots up off the start, which is, a track like this, you got to get them early for sure. So, but yeah, I guess I've got about a minute left in this warm-up session. This is going to be really interesting with, obviously Richardson and McCutcheon and Tunison, and Busan all coming from further back in this race. Should be quite entertaining. I think we probably will see 4 more overtakes than 2 in this race, for sure.
Of course, I am back after collecting my drink.
There we go. Now you'll have a voice for the whole 3rd race now.
Yeah, 20 minutes it will be, 5 minutes longer than the previous 2. And more points given out, so this could be a real do or die race for a lot of these drivers to keep the hopes in either the Pro Championship or the AM Championship alive. But the driver who's starting on reverse grid pole, that will be Stefan Mills, who's had a better evening than expected. It's a long time since we've seen him run that high in the AMs. But let's see what he can do in this 3rd and last event.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this about, Stefan. I like him, but whenever he gets a chance to start up on the pole on one of these things, traditionally he's made a mistake pretty early on in the race and ends up losing it and giving it away pretty quick. As boy, that jumped in quick to the gridding. Let's get the grid going here real quick.
Stefan Melis on reverse grid pole ahead of Gert-Jan Polman, with Menno de Graaf and Matthew Richardson on row number 2. Mike Bousson and John Hutchinson make up the third row of the grid, followed by Luke Tunison and James Coombs. Runner at the top 10 are Luke Maxwell and Jack Veazey. Steve Webb and Josh Reed are on row number 6. On the 7th and final row are Gareth Newton and Scott Kostrich. So we wait for Tunison and Hutchinson to go onto the grid. Once they are on the grid, we can get going for the last 20-minute affair to round out the evening's action here in Mugello. Everyone is on the grid, and so the lights can come on. As we look to the 5 red lights, look but never steer. 3, 4 and 5. Lights are on, lights are out very, very quickly, and Stefan Melis gets off to a super stop, but not as good as Gert-Jan Polman, who has reacted better to the lights, and he's going to be the first driver into turn 1 ahead of Melis. Matthew Richardson has leapfrogged Menno de Graaf as well, and we look at John Hutchinson further back trying to make a move. Melis runs out too far out wide, running too deep, and he's missed his braking point, and that has allowed Matthew Richardson through into P2. So it's Polman who leads, Richardson, Melis, de Graaf, Hutchinson, Bousson, Tunison, Maxwell, Veazey and Coombs.
Ooh, look at Tunison coming up through the middle there. Oh no, he got into McHutchison.
Yeah, that's a bad moment again for Hutchinson. 2 race weekends, or 2 race weeks in a row. He has ended up in the walls on the opening lap of the last race of the night. So that is another twist in the title race, and that has played into the hands of the likes of Mike Bousson and Jack Veazey, maybe Luke Maxwell at a push, but that is not the kind of drama that John Hudson needs, and that is Richardson and de Graaf off.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was bad. Look at that.
Graaf will be in the pit lane at the end of this lap.
Oh yeah.
The timing tower up in a moment as well. Just
he flipped, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Richardson's got damage. De Graaf has got damage. Don't think Hudson has any, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if he was affected by the contact with Tunison.
All right, so let's see. This is this incident first. So Richardson gets off, and then boom, he hits him in the. No, I guess he didn't flip. I thought he did, but no, he's all right.
No.
All right, so now we're going to jump back up here and see the incident with Hutchinson and Tunison.
This is over at turn number 4, and it was Tunison running into Hutchinson. So I'm afraid to say that is on Tunison just missing his braking point.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, those kind of. Oh, here we go. Look at this, 2x2 going through here.
And there we see Melis and Bousson side by side. This is an important moment for Bousson to take advantage of Hutchinson's mistake. He's going to go on by Melis at the very next turn after this one. It is the inside which he'll have at turn number 4. That's where Tunison and Hutchinson had their calamity on the first lap. But through goes Bousson into second place and can go after Polman for the lead.
Melis caught some of that curbing there, and his car didn't like it, and it caused him to slow up. Maxwell had to lift and not hit him there.
That's in third position, and that's Maxwell running. Is that Maxwell?
Yes.
Yeah, it is Maxwell running wide at Arabiata 1, and it's Veazey who's now attacking him. In race 2, this would have been the battle for the lead. Now it's for 4th place. Veazey got a little twitch coming out of turn 11, but just about caught it, or turn 10 rather. And there was no way through for James Coombs that time around. But Josh Reed has managed to get himself involved in this. He's made a tremendous start, actually, up from 12th to 7th. For the first time tonight, we've seen him get into the mix with the pros.
Yeah, he's up there. Maybe it took him a race or two to get his, knock the rust off, so to speak.
Out of Bachin for the second time in his third and final race, and it is Polman in the lead. He needs to take advantage of Menno de Graaf's mishap and come away with some good points. And we'll get the updated standings for when we next race at Hockenheim in 7 days' time. But we'll look at 2 battles. That's Maxwell going past Melis into 3rd place. Does Melis fight back? I don't think he's going to really have that much of a chance in all honesty, but do you know what? He does have a chance, and he's gone back through ahead of Maxwell. He forces Maxwell to the outside and onto the rumble strips, and he's going to head on by here is Maxwell this time around. I think Melis is going to have to yield and does so.
Tell you what, and he's going to immediately have Beasley right on top of him as well, and then Combs behind them. I mean, these guys are going to try to freight train him here, and he's obviously down 3 spots already from where he started at the beginning of the race here.
Look at VC behind Melis out of Arabiata 2. And it's Coombs and Reed. Reed running wide. Yep. Yeah, Reed went off, and that has allowed Scott Kostrich to pull alongside. Is there going to be a change in the order between Reed and Kostrich? And it looks like Reed is just in about hold on here. But it's been a far from smooth race from Josh Reed. Having said that, he has made up the positions at the start, but he is beginning to struggle a little bit. John Hudson, who's now 3 seconds off Gary Newton, he's got a mountain to climb on a circuit not known for overtaking.
Yeah, this is so unfortunate for John, man. Sometimes things are out of your control, you know. I mean, it's just how it goes. I'll tell you what, Busan has reeled Pullman in fast. It was not a lap and a half ago. He was 2 seconds behind him.
Well, Veazey's got by Melis further back. He's up into 4th position.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it could end up going the same way as last time when Melis and Max were fighting. So I think Veazey's going to use that to his advantage and go on by.
Combs coming on the inside.
Yep, but I think Combs is going to have it really difficult to pull. Oh, that's Melis running into him. And Combs was able to pull that move off, and Melis is going to have to be on his toes because now he's got Josh Reed next, aiming to displace him. But we're having a different race in this third and last one compared to what we saw in the previous 2. 3/10 the gap between Pullman and Buson, but I think it's a matter of time before Buson makes his way past the AM driver.
Well, we know the bulldog that is Mike Buson, so he's certainly gonna grind on him here. This is probably where he's gonna try to do it right here. Oh no, I'm in the wrong spot on the track.
So there we look at Buson fighting with Pullman out of Biondetti. To the outside goes Mike Buson.
Yeah, I think
with Gene.
This is not for a pass, I think, as much as it is to get a great.
Maxwell's aiming to take advantage here. If he can make the most of the draft, he can maybe attack Buson at the same time if he's feeling lucky.
Well, I think he's going to latch on to Buson's draft and get by Pullman. Both of them are going to go by Pullman. Buson got a nice run out of there.
It's turn 1, and it's Buson who goes into the lead. Maxwell is through into 2nd, Pullman down to 3rd place. It's a matter of time before VC and Coombs make their way through. And then Pullman will be in a fight of his own with Stefan Melis for the AM victory. But this is all playing into the hands of Benoit de Graaf as Pullman is tumbling down the order because it's overall position that determine the points, not class order.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly does, and I think he's going to go by it was
done it.
Interesting to watch. Oh, and Combs is coming too now.
Comes to the outside of Pullman. What does Pullman decide to do? Does he run him out wide at Arabiata? He does. Coombs will have the high ground on the exit, so Pullman will have to be just tucking behind. That was Melis who ran wide, and now Josh Reed and Scott Kostrich are in the mix. Reed goes through at turn 11, sideswipes Melis only a little bit, and Kostrich is looking to go through an open door here. There is room for him to go on by, and Melis is really beginning to struggle now.
Can't say we're not seeing passing tonight now. We've seen more passing in one lap on this race than we've seen in the last 2 races combined.
And then we look at the Orange Army car. That's Steve Webb, who's next behind Melis. This is the battle for 3rd position in the AMS. And Tunison, after the contact he had with John Hudson, he's now hoping to just get through on Webb and Melis very, very quickly because he's losing too much time and he wants to be back in the mix with the pros in the battle for maybe a podium if he can help it. He's got too much work to do, as he has done. And he's going to sail on by Webb to the outside. Reed goes out wide further ahead, and Reed's just lost out big time there. That was a poor mistake by Reed.
Yeah, that was bad timing for sure, because they were right there and they seized that one for sure. And now you got Newton behind, and then McCutcheon is on his way. He has made up that gap at least and has caught this pack of cars, so now he can probably start trying to pick them off. But, still got almost 11 minutes left in this race, so plenty of time.
Down the hill through Casanova and Savelli. Tunison up to 8th place. Scott Kostrich is in P7. It's Mellis and Holman, the next driver's up, and that was a pass, I think, from John Hudson on Gareth Newton now. So Hudson is up the order a little bit. He's got just over 10 minutes to get through as many cars as possible. If he can get by the likes of Reed, Webb, Tunison, Kostrich, Mellis and Holman, even by someone like him, it's a tall order. But look at the fight between Mellis and Kostrich through Corinthau. Or anything can happen from here on in.
Yeah, this is, I mean, like you said, that's a lot of cars to pass, but these guys up here are fighting hard too. I mean, you know, they are really elbows out for sure.
Yep, that is Kostrich attacking Mellis at Bachin. No way past at the moment. And it's going to be Tunison who'll make the most of the tow here. Mellis's exit wasn't great, and he's going to end up being swamped here, Mellis.
Was, though.
Yeah, well, Tunison's was much better than Mellis's, and he's going to use Kostrich as a bit of a leverage, actually.
Oh,
as they go towards, that's 3 wide. Tunison gets past both of them on the way into turn number 1, but he's running a little bit too deep, and Mellis has come back up the inside. Tunison will have to go to the inside line and now break him here if he can do it. He doesn't do so, and Kostrich nearly got back through. But at least Tunison's made up more positions, but that could have ended in tears with the way Tunison went through turn number 1.
What an absolute crazy battle this has turned out to be. This is some fantastic racing back here. Somewhere, Maxwell got by Busan while we were watching this insane race back here.
He has done. So Luke Maxwell, who's finished second in the previous 2 races, looks to be on his way to victory unless Busan's got anything left in himself to do something about that.
There it is. Let's see this pass.
Yeah, Busan didn't even fight it, to be honest with you, Jim.
He really didn't. I think he knew Maxwell had to run and just, you know. That doesn't mean he's not going to come back and try to get it back, because we know Busan, you know.
Steve Webb has passed Josh Reed now. Oh, sorry, thought the Dyson for position here. Reed through on Webb. Hudson's now up into 9th position. Scott Kostrich is the next driver he'll be looking to make mincemeat of.
The next victim.
Well, you know what I mean. Mellis is now under attack from Tunison. I think Tunison's got him in his sights here and he should be able to sail on through. Hudson needs to do the same with Kostrich. So we've got 2 pro drivers going past 2 AMs at the same time, potentially. Now Hudson goes by Kostrich at San Donato. Kostrich braked later than Hudson, but Hudson was able to respond and go back through. Tunison not able to get by Mellis that time around, but they have closed in on Gert-Jan Polman, who has dropped back after being, well, he basically got swamped by the pros earlier on, and now he's going to have to hold on to the M1 if he can help it, but it's going to be tough from here on in.
Oh my gosh, they almost came together again. Man, I tell you, if I'm Tunison, yeah, I'm gonna let McCutcheon go. I owe him one, so you know, unfortunately.
And Hudson's past Tunison.
I think he let him go there because he owed him one. The problem is, Kostrich came with him, so.
Yeah, and Hudson is through into P7. You could be right about what Tunison did earlier. I think he just waited for the best opportunity for him to let Hudson go. Some people may not agree with that, but that's what Tunison did. And
I mean, he owed him one for sure, because I mean, you know, he punted him off the track earlier, no doubt about it. So, you know, the right thing to do would, when he caught you, is to let him back by. That would be fair.
Tunison now in 8th position. Hudson going after Stefan Mellis. It shouldn't take too long for him to make his way past him.
Mellis has been a little bit of I don't want to say a nuisance. That's the wrong word, but he's been tough and scrappy tonight.
And Hudson has a chance to use the draft from Pullman to just head on through past Mellis into San Donato. Is he through? Well, he's able to outbreak him through there.
Gosh, that's a dangerous place to be in high speed on the outside of somebody like that. It's so easy for Dallas to lose it right there and take the Pepston out. You got to have a lot of faith in the guy there.
Chinson's got Mellis in his sights, but he wasn't able to send one up the inside at turn number 4. That would have been far too risky for him to do it. But Hudson's at least through into P6. Gert-Jan Polman, I think, is going to end up being the last driver from Hudson to potentially go on by, because I just cannot see John going after Coombs unless we have any further drama in these last laps involving the leaders.
Well, just if they somehow or another they come together up here and start battling, that can bring them all back together pretty fast. So we'll see how that goes. I think Tunison is going to have a hard time with Mellis here. I think Mellis is really going to try to put up a fight. But
Tunison's going to the outside of Mellis. That's over at Cairns, which is not the ideal corner to get an overtake done at. So Tunison's reluctant to maybe wait until the pit straight. He's trying to find different areas around the circuit to pull off an overtake. But the more you do that, the more you lose ground to the other cars in front of you and allow the field behind to close in. Hudson is now in the wheel tracks of Pullman as they go through Bachin. They've only got 3 laps to go at most. So there goes Hudson through on Pullman. Pullman does not fight this one. Tunison should be able to go on through past Mellis, but he hasn't got by him yet. He needs to pull out as soon as he can towards turn number 1. It goes to the outside, does Tunison. There is a little bit of a draw for him to make the most of here.
Oh, he's losing it.
Back in, yeah, he's losing it. That was too much speed into the corner, and Tunison's lost out to Scott Kostrich and Josh Reed.
Yep, that's stepped out on him, Kate. A little too much speed through there.
Now he's having to switch. Was going to do all that hard work again.
I was going to say all that hard work he just did. He kept to do it all over.
Jack Veazey in third.
Sorry, the eyes on his helmet cracked me up. I just saw him for the first time. I don't know if you got to look at that when next time we get a front shot of him. Look at that. He's got eyes on top of his helmet.
Well, they are coming through the right-hander. And Chinison is pushing ever so hard. He hasn't got a lot of time left. Just 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Maxwell's lead is 1.2 seconds over Mike Boost on Jack Veazey in third place. As Mellis goes wide at turn number 12. No, sorry, it's turn 11. Chinison going to the inside of Reed. Mellis is holding up the group, actually, to Mills McGee. Chinison goes past Reed at Corinthau. Can he go past Kostridge at the very next turn, or the next couple of corners of Biondetti? He isn't able to. Reed goes off the circuit, and Kostridge is now going into combat with Mellis for second place in the Amps. They come together, and Kostridge is off.
Wow. Yeah, that's... Jack Veazey has caught Busan and is passing, or working on passing anyway.
Busan holding up Veazey at turn number 1 on the penultimate lap. This is for second place in the race. John Hodgson's got by Gert-Jan Polman a little bit earlier, even with 8 seconds to make car. He's not going to be able to make that up in 2 laps, no way. For John Hodgson, looks like he looks good enough for 5th place as it stands, which is where he ended up finishing in race number 2, but at least it's damage limitation after coming together with Luke Tunison at the beginning.
Yeah, given what happened to him in lap 1, how that could have ended up to finish 5th overall, that's a great comeback. It really is.
Here we see Veazey behind Buson on the run-up. Johnson has a slowdown to his name, so he will have to adhere to that. He's got back ahead of Steve Webb now. It's Mellis and Pullman he's got lined up. Can he get by both of them before this race is over?
I'll say it's going to be tough.
And Reed is now on the tail of Webb as they head towards Corinthau, the right-hander. On their way through there for Reed that time around. Webb is on course for an AM podium. He needs to be careful with Reed right behind him. That's Gareth Newton in P11. Scott Kostrich off that spin is down in P12. Richardson gets back ahead of Mena de Graaf for position. in the battle for 13th. But the last lap is about to begin, and VZ is now within sight of Mike Bousson here. VZ will have to go to the outside. This is the last time he'll attempt to move here. Everywhere else, sorry, if he's going to pull off and move anywhere other than here, he's going to have to do it on this lap. But Bousson is holding on to second place, which would be important for his championship hopes. Maxwell needed this result, and it looks like he's about to get it with the way he's gone about his business in race number 3.
Yeah, it's been a great race for Luke here. He got by Bousson and really kind of just pulled away and has been out there on his own now for several laps, which is exactly what he needed tonight.
He's done a tremendous job either way, as Bousson running in P2 as they go through the leftover gravel, which has probably been scattered around from the early laps of this one. But it looks like Bousson should be able to hold on to second place here, unless there is a drag race to the line between him and Jack VZ as they head on through. James Coombs is right there. It seems that he's going to have to settle for 4th position. John Hudson on course for 5th place. Chinison has not got by Mellis or Pullman. He is running out of time to get past Pullman, so I think if he's going to get past anyone else now, it's going to be Stefan Mellis. Mellis has had a better evening than expected, as I've alluded to. But Luke Maxwell right here has absolutely performed out of his skin tonight. 2 second place finishes in races number 1 and 2, and is about to complete a brilliant evening in style with race victory. Luke Maxwell wins in Mugello in the Radical SR8 Championship. Mike Bousson heads over the line in second, ahead of Jack VZ and James Coombs. And it's John Hudson who makes it back to 5th place after his disastrous beginning. And the winner in the AMS is going to be Gert-Jan Pullman, who holds off Stefan Mellis, who's in a drag race to the line with Josh Reed and Luke Chinison. It's so close, but Reed has got by Chinison by 0.05 of a second to 8th place. Steve Webb completes the AM podium in 10th place, and with the likes of Scott Kostrich, Gareth Newton, Matthew Richardson and Menegraph, who are going to be heading over the line shortly.
Before this ends real quick here, look at this. Bumping down the straightaway, look at this. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Bumping across the line there. What a cool finish that was. All right, let's see. Should have us some results here. Indeed,
let's run down on the result for the 3rd and final race here in Mugello in the Radical SR8 Championship. Luke Maxwell is the winner by a couple of seconds over Mike Bousson, who had a photo finish with Jack VZ and James Coombs. John Hudson keeps his hopes in the championship alive by coming home in 5th place with Gert-Jan Pullman, the winner in the AMS. How crucial could that be at the end of the season? Stefan Mellis 2nd, so that's 3 podiums from 3 in the AM class for him. Great effort from the Belgian. Josh Reed in his first event back in a long time, headed over the line in 8th place. Luke Chinson 9th, and Steve Webb running out the top 10, but he does finish on the AM podium. Scott Kostrich, Gareth Newton, Matthew Richardson and Manila Garth with the rest of those to finish.
All right. Yeah, that was a lot more fun. Well, not that the first ones weren't, but that was an exciting race there for sure.
Yeah, and we've got Luke Maxwell lining up in the booth, so we might as well bring him now.
Yeah,
let's get a word with the man who finished 2nd in race number 1, 2nd in race number 2, and the winner in race number 3. Luke Maxwell, very, very good evening. I have to say that was a very, very well graphed. What do you think?
That was good. I like it. I like it around there. Not race there very often, but it's a cracking circuit. It's quite hard when you're in sort of the dirty air, especially around the quicker stuff. Yeah, the back end of the circuit. But cracking fun. I mean, it's the rears were getting quite hot, I think, for everybody as well throughout that race. So it's trying to get that gap, and hopefully, Mike and Jack were battling behind me on the feature, which kind of hopefully gave me a bit of breathing space, and just trying to manage the tyres really, and that obviously helped, I think, with the pace. So all good.
Very, very good, and a brilliant dice as well between you and Mike Bousson. We were a little bit surprised actually that Bousson didn't defend that more than he did. Is there perhaps maybe a reason why he had done that?
The only thing I could think is that he thought if I've got more pace than him, then he can get my toe and try and keep the gap really and keep P2. I don't think Mike going into practice seemed to have the pace that a lot of the other guys had. So, but he was setting some pretty good lap times. But I think once I got past him, in the clean air, it was it was clear there was a bit more pace there. So no, fair play to Mike. I mean, yeah, I wasn't expecting him to to stay left. To be honest, I was waiting for another battle like Jack in the first round.
Away from this series, what's been going on in the world of Luke Maxwell now that we've entered the spring season?
Outside of iRacing,
Yeah.
yeah, a bit of gardening. I've been repointing the patio today. I was supposed to be in Athens last week, but that got cancelled.
Oh, really?
My wife's been ill, so we had to knock that one on the head. That's been moved, I think, to May now. So yes, and then I'm back at work on Wednesday. So yeah, be good. Take it
I'm
easy.
jealous. I have to say I'd like to join you in Athens. That's on my bucket list, man. Kids in college now, maybe that'll happen. So yeah, that's high on my bucket list.
We were booked up while it was nice and cheap, and then and now we've got to rebook when it's very expensive. So, shot myself in the foot, I think.
Well, hope your wife is okay.
Yeah, she's much better now. She had an ear infection and this sort of lurgy that's been going around. So yeah.
Well, I hope she makes a speedy recovery from that. Is there anyone to shout out to, Luke, before we let you go?
I give a shout out to Jack. I think he he's definitely had some good pace tonight, and it was good fun battling with him. Just a shame he span out in the first race there. It was certainly made me a bit cautious when I was side by side with him in the second race, because it's quite tricky, especially offline. So I was being kind of uber careful.
Luke, well done tonight. 2 second place finishes in races number 1 and 2, and the win tonight in race number 3, which will keep your championship hopes still alive. Are you around for both Hockenheim and Monza?
Yeah, I should be. Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully that's given me a good haul of points tonight to get back up there, but we'll see.
Wonderful. Luke, I'll let you go. Thank you very much for speaking to us, and best of luck next week.
Cheers, guys.
That was Luke Maxwell spoken. So let's get a word with the man that came out on top in the AMS in the third and final event of this evening, Gert-Jan Polman. If I can drag him into the booth, actually. Jim, can you just do me a favour and do what I was about to do and get Gert into the booth so we can get a word from him? And he came away with just that. And now we can get a word with Gert, who finished the evening on a high by winning the AMS, considering where Melinda de Graaf ended up. Gert, good evening.
Good evening. Hi, thank you. Yeah, I did not expect to win that. Absolutely not.
So I got to say, look, I'm going to jump in. You were getting off the line tonight so fantastic, man. You had some great starts tonight.
Thanks. Yeah, I love the starts in this car. I recently got another wheel with the clutch pedal, and I've been practicing a lot, and the starts just done really well. So I was really happy to be second for the last race. I knew I could catch Stefan off the line.
But your first two, you made up, I think, 4 or 5 spots right off the bat in race 1 and 3 spots in race 2. I mean, you really you made a lot of positions up on track tonight right at the start of those races.
Yeah, that worked well, but I lost all the positions by the first lap.
Well, that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about the great start. That's No,
thinking of it.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was going to say we were watching the warm-up, Jim, and I think Gert was practicing his race starts, so that could maybe explain why he got that brilliant start in the third and last race.
I think it's extremely underrated.
I practiced the start from the second grid box to see how fast you were going into turn 1. So that worked really well.
Yeah. Hockenheim next week, Gert, what are we thinking? I'm just thinking of it. Is it it's the modern Grand Prix circuit, I believe, that we are racing at. Is that your circuit?
I love it. Yeah, that's a circuit I love, and it's a shame that the old one isn't in iRacing, but this one is great as well. So I really love that track. And
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I hope to do well there because I really hated this track. And also, one more thing, Mike just touched me on the rear in I think when he passed me for the lead, and then I had a wheel damage on the one of the rear wheels. So I was kind of skating around during braking, I thought, okay, this race is over. But Stefan was fighting so much behind me that he just managed to slow slow the pack down.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to Hockenheim. Yeah, that's a nice track.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be quite a turnout for that one because it is a better circuit, in my point of view, than Mugello. Anyone to shout out to, Gert, before we let you go?
Good question. Well, I'd like to shout out to my wife because she's again sitting downstairs alone and still refuses to watch the YouTube. So maybe
mine won't watch either. So there's that.
Have you sorted out any further holidays with her? Because have you got like any further trips to like Scotland or anywhere like that you've been to previously?
I'll try to plan it around the seasons, but
it's difficult, is it?
That's difficult, yeah.
Don't tell your wife that you're planning vacations around the racing season because that will not go well.
She knows me well, so no problem.
Wonderful. I'll let you go. Thank you very much for taking the time, and best of luck next week at Hockenheim.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, that was funny.
Cheers.
Wonderful. That was Gert-Jan Pullman. Who should we speak to next? Mike Booson or Jack Vesey?
Let's bring Jack in. We'll save Mike for last.
Okay. Well, let's get a word with Jack Vesey, the winner of race number 2. And considering all the drama that's been happening, particularly in that last race where John Hodgson fell back down the field. Jack, very good evening.
Good evening.
How's that experience compared to Motorsport Park?
Yeah, I think it was a better day today because last week was fine, but obviously got caught up in that incident in round 3, in heat 3. But today, 10th to 3rd and 5th in the first place, so good points. And yeah, it went pretty well.
Nice. And I think we saw quite a bit of drama as well on the first lap, thinking of it, because there was the likes of Matthew Richardson, or was it race number 2? It might have been race number 2. I can't exactly remember, but
That's the final one.
it was at Arabiata 1 where all the drama was kicking off, wasn't it, Jim?
Yeah. Well, my question is, when you went to go by Stefan Mellis there, I guess it was on lap 4 or 4
It's here now, I think.
He got, that's what I got up on the thing, right? Exactly. It seemed like that he kind of squeezed you a couple of times, and it was kind of like you had enough of it, and you kind of threw a little hip check on him to make sure you went ahead and got by him, huh?
Yeah, I said to the guys, he was really putting up a fight, but it was fair. He wasn't dirty or anything like that. It was fair racing. He was just racing really hard. He made it hard for Mike, and then he made it hard for Luke, and then it was my go. So there was no malice. It was fine racing.
Yeah. No, I just you could tell that you were like, here, let me just kind of bump you out of the way here.
He made me work for it. Yeah, he made me work for it. I had to get round one way or another.
I mean that makes for good. It certainly makes for good broadcast. Those kind of little stuff like that makes it exciting. We actually had a lot of that tonight. I don't know if you had any battles with Luke Tunison tonight, but he was he kind of had his elbows out and was racing hard like that earlier in the night. I don't know if you two crossed paths, but he was putting up a nice fight tonight as well.
Yeah, we didn't. My main battles were with Luke and Mike tonight, mainly through the first couple corners. The first race I actually spun because I was battling Luke and my tyres were absolutely cooked, and I just lost traction.
So apparently the rear tires were really cooking fast, huh?
Yeah, the car just went from underneath, and that was it.
Well, Luke said the same thing. Maxwell said the same exact thing, that the rear tires were just cooking and getting really hot fast, and which made it.
Yeah, it must be to do with the temperatures or something like that. Because the people were saying the test session it was fine, but today it's been quite slippy. So,
Jack, is there anyone you want to share it with before we let you go?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys and shout out to friends and family that are watching.
Wonderful. And I'm sure they've been very, very happy. And it's been a brilliant performance again, with 2 rounds still to go and still very much in the championship fight with John Hodgson in the pros. Jack, I'll let you go, and best of luck next week at Hockenheim.
Okay, cheers guys. Thanks.
So that was Jack Vesey who we spoke to right there. Let's get a word with Mike Boost on. At the end of the evening, no wins tonight, Mike, but you did pull up quite a bit of a fight, especially in that last race with the likes of Luke Maxwell, Jack Vesey, and James Coombs.
Yeah, good evening, chaps. It was a very mediocre night overall. Happy with the result in the race 3. Just said to Luke, and he said he guessed it, that I just thought let him have a strategic pass so we don't invite Jack into the mix. I thought to myself, who is my actual rivals? I thought I'll just let Luke go, try and use him for a little bit and see off Jack. So that worked.
Yeah.
But I don't it was so slippery out there tonight. I was saying to the boys, the test session it was a totally different track, so I sort of was struggling to adapt to the conditions tonight, really.
Yeah, it feels like that, but it is an abrasive circuit. Is Mugello? I mean, I was looking at the air temperature. It was something like 18 to 19 degrees, and track temperature something like 32. So, which didn't really surprise me because this circuit is literally located in the mountains, and it's going to be a higher above sea level, and obviously the altitude is going to be thinner a little bit. But I suppose it's not exactly everyone's circuit. It's nice when you do a hot lap around this track, but when it comes to racing, it's so tricky.
I'd love the track, to be fair. I didn't expect to enjoy it, but obviously after maybe Thursday night gave me a different or unrealistic race practice for this, because Thursday was a totally different grip level. Car was different. Obviously, this is a different setup John's chosen, and I think my brain had dialed into driving it the way I did on Thursday last week, and I just couldn't adapt to these conditions quick enough. I just, but it is what it is. Hockenheim next week. Not really sure what to expect from Hockenheim. It could go either way for me on that. So we'll wait and see.
Have you raced around Hockenheim in the SR8?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've really done anything on that track. Shouldn't be too far off the pace, but who knows? Who knows? Really want to have a good result next week because
you're going to have to.
Will be a lottery. Well, Monza will be a lottery. I see Jack's back at the top. John's there as well.
But you said you claimed last week or the week before that the championship was yours. So it's.
I will if I have to pay off the rest of the grid, I will make sure.
You could rent them your fans.
If I've got to even buy my own trophy, I don't care. I'm having that trophy.
How's the farming coming on, Mike?
This common misconception, I don't want to ruin it because don't tell James. There is no farming. I don't farm. I don't drive a tractor. It's just this common misconception because I sound like I do. Is I drive tractors for a living. There's no farming, boys. Sorry to ruin the myth. There's no Massey Ferguson parked outside. Nothing.
Oh,
okay.
I can vision you like, what's the guy that used to host that car show who now has a farm?
Oh, Jeremy Clarkson.
Clarkson, yeah.
Yes.
I could be that man.
See?
But
I can see you like
don't
that.
Don't tell James. If he wants to keep thinking I'm a carrot muncher in a caravan, he can have that.
A carrot
He's just a pikey from Wincanton in my head, so it's all right.
Okay.
Oh my goodness! That's why you have to leave Mike for the last interview right there, because nobody can follow this.
No. Well, boys, I will see you on the other side, I suppose.
Yes, thank you, sir.
No problem, Mike. I'll leave you to get on with what you need to do, and best of luck to you at Hockenheim.
Yeah, catch you later, boys.
A carrot muncher in a caravan.
I'm going to have to be reminded of that phrase because that kind of flew over me, but it did sound quite funny.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, that's some. I don't think we need to add anything to that right there. That sums it up.
Anyway, so after Mugello, we didn't really see an awful lot in the first couple of races, but the last race with the reverse grid sort of mixing things up, we did see quite a bit more. But it's Hockenheim next week, and I would expect that to be a more dramatic affair, especially
agree.
with especially coming towards the business end of the season, Jim.
Yeah, and then of course, like Mike alluded to, Monza. Everybody talks about what a lottery it is and all of that. It is, but I mean, there's a lot of good racing that goes on at that Monza event. And we don't necessarily. It's not the carnage that everybody thinks it's going to be. So. I really hope that the championship battle comes down to Monza, because that's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we shall see soon enough. And at the beginning of the night, John Hudson converted the pole into the victory in the first race. In race number 2, it was Jack Veazey who held off Luke Maxwell. But it was Maxwell who staked his claim by coming away with the third and final race win of the night after finishing second in the first couple of races. Well, we've got 2 more rounds to go, the first of which being Hockenheim next week. And it's going to be a really tasty affair. We'll find out how that one stacks the order up for when we go to Monza for that huge curveball of an event as what we've seen in the last few years. Jim, thank you very much for joining me in the booth. Thank you to everyone that's been tuning in the live chat. Do make sure you like and subscribe, and that way you won't miss a thing. And at the end of the night, it was Luke Maxwell who was arguably the driver of the night with 2 second-place finishes and a win. Can he continue that next week in Germany? We shall see. I am Tom Cairns with Jim Cunningham, and we'll speak to you again soon when the Radical SR8 Championship returns, and it's good night.